Correct.
Thank you very much.
Hey.
Yeah. Working for you, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. William.
Good afternoon, sir.
And how are you, sir?
Not too bad. I'm well, actually.
You have a nice program going there.
Thank you.
But I'm very disappointed with the ministers of government. Where are they? I think they're supposed to come in and speak to our people and let us know what they have in store for us.
We do that every week, sir.
And I know you do it every week, but where are they? They're going off island?
They have a meeting.
Oh, they have a meeting. Oh, so you have to get someone to fit in. That is very nice of you, sir. You're doing a wonderful job. I just called to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. Okay. Samal, something I want to touch on, and it has to do with the development of young people, the developmental stages of young people. And of course, you know, young people are going through experimental phase and all of this sort of a thing. They are discovering about their sexuality, and you know, sex means a lot to them at that stage, and the discovery of their bodies and so on. So sometimes a lot of the music, I wonder, is geared towards that age group with hypersexuality, and they play into this. I think sometimes musicians and so on play on this, and maybe that is why sometimes young people are so attracted to music that is hypersexual. What do you think?
I think you're so correct with that. And the fact that at that stage, especially that through those teenage years into your early 20s, especially, I mean, for some it goes well beyond that. But looking at those years, I think life is really just one big experiment at that stage for any individual. Mm-hmm. You're learning to be an adult. You're learning yourself and sexuality. You're learning how you fit into the world around you. So it's just one big experiment at that stage, and nobody really knows how to be anything at that point in time. So one would try, and one would make mistakes, and one would develop and look at other people's experiences. And I think listening to music actually helps some by sharing experiences. And then when you made a point about artists playing on that, because if I am trying to grow and learn, and I'm looking towards music and the rest of society to help me to navigate, and maybe help me to navigate, period, then if someone understands that and provides that information to me through music, especially understanding the stage of life that I will be at, then you would find that, of course, I may take that information and process my actions accordingly to what I'm hearing. And that in itself could be good and bad. Because, again, we talk about the same thing. How much of the positive do we promote? Because if somebody is taking that and promoting, you know, that hypersexual kind of thing and, you know, leading persons along that way, then what about somebody else taking the handle and saying, look, I have an effect on persons and I want to reach them positively, and I want to while providing to them the real essence of what they're going through from having experienced it, to show them what is the best likely outcome. Because don't get it wrong, sometimes you have to connect with people in the real. You have to tell somebody that you're going to feel like experiment. You're going to feel like, you know what I mean, being in that kind of zone. And while feeling that way is natural, hear the repercussions. And not just hear the repercussions, look at society and look at what's happening. And one of the things I find that we don't do well in St. Kitts is properly document our development. I mean, as an artist, I couldn't properly understand Ellie Mack's legacy, because you just hear it from different persons who have the story twisted in their own various ways. Because there would have been no proper documentation of Ellie Mack's legacy. and what he was able to do. I mean, going even further, even Bradshaw, you know, I mean, who is a national hero, we still haven't had a proper documentation of his legacy and his works and why he was so great to our people. Now, you hear stories from individuals, and everybody's story is always tainted with their own agenda most of the times. But how do we collectively gather that information and paint the truth or the best picture? Because I don't believe any story is wrong completely, and I don't believe every story is right completely. But if we bring all the stories together and paint a proper picture of who he was holistically, and not just for Bradshaw, but for our entire development, arts and politics and health, and that way we won't fall in the same holes over and over and over again. Because when I hear them talk about Elimac, and I look at our current situation, we seem to have fallen off from where we were. Why? Should we not be building on the foundation laid by these people before us? And it's because we don't fully well understand what they have done and why they did what they did. So I believe documentation is important, and I think it's something that we need to pay attention to so that we can continuously build instead of building to a certain level, falling off to try and build right back to where we were before. And before you know, you have a bunch of little trial and errors, but no complete development going forward.
Now, you have mentioned a very important point in terms of building on the legacy of those among us who have excelled in the art form and so on. But before that, we were talking about the hypersexuality and the risky behaviors, so to speak, that somehow young people around a particular age and going through certain changes in their lives and developmental issues and so on, seem somehow to be attracted to music, lyrics that resonates with the stage that they are going through in life. Some of it has to basically do with drug use and drug abuse and so on. I am surprised to know so many persons. I have spoken to young persons and so on when I used to teach at the college and so on, who put forward a very positive view of smoking marijuana and and other things. They never actually speak about the negative, and that is because there are a number of songs and so on that sort of promote the smoking of marijuana as something that is good and so on. And they have their own views in terms of that. It's at a stage where they're experimenting and so on, and they're given the impression, at least from these songs, that it is all good.
And I mean, you, in touching on that, songs can do that. But again, I believe it comes down to society to paint a real picture. And even somebody growing up in this era, myself, I look at a number of things, and I like to think, I like to reason. And on the issue of marijuana, as a young man, I've been exposed to a number of things, and I tend to question society because marijuana is illegal, and we should all respect that. And that's one thing I tell everybody that is around me. It is illegal. Respect it. Whether or not you believe it should. And that's another question. Should it be? Because there are arguments out there that it's a natural plant. Why is a natural plant illegal? But then these are the discussions we need to have, and not just say, oh, illegal, and it's again, and it's done. Because then what you're saying to those that don't agree is that they have to rebel. Or they can't get any wiser in terms of why. And if you're forcing them to rebel, then this is what kind of society we will have. So why not let's have a discussion as to why is it illegal? Why is it not good for you? When there are so many claims about it being so beneficial into the medical industry. So then it's like, okay, and then you have it being legalized all throughout America as we speak. So then is it hypocritical then? That we are saying down here that it's not good for you, it's illegal, and in the rest of the world is legalizing it. And the question, and these are questions and discussion that we need to have. Because when you tell a young person something, they don't just take what you said just for what it is. They have their own minds. So when they internalize that and they look at it and they're like, but they're saying this to me and look at, and this is not what I'm seeing in the world outside, then somebody is telling me some foolishness and I'm going to rebel against the system. And then when they do that, then we point the finger and say they're bad. But they're just misguided and miseducated. So let's take the time and have that discussion with them. Let's open them up to critical thinking. You know, that's important. We need to do that. And that's how I feel about that matter in the general context, that there are a number of things that we need to have discussions about and not just put down the law on, you know. Oh, that's bad, and don't ask me, because that's really what you get. Don't ask me anything. It's bad, it's bad. It's illegal, we say that, case closed. Why? Should I just take it wholesale that you say is illegal and it's supposed to be like that? It's not good for me. But then America is preaching that it's good for this, and Europe is preaching that it's good for that, and they're legalizing it, and Israel is doing all these studies on it and finding that it's so great in other contexts. Then somebody's a hypocrite.
Yes. And I think too, Samal, that somehow as adults and parents need to understand this, that sometimes the music that young people listen to is all a part of the rebellion. They are rebelling against status quo. They are rebelling against what you put to them as rules, what the standards are supposed to be. And it's all a part of them really trying to be different, trying to be to stand out from what they see.
That's one element.
As the norm.
But it's also a part of them learning. And the problem is a lot of times in that process of learning and developing, we are not having the right discussions. So then if my mind is of a different state to yours on a matter, and you are trying to feed me your side of the story, but I am seeing it wider, I will rebel. Because in my mind, that's not the full story. And there's no way that you're going to convince me when I am seeing a wider picture. And I'm going to rebel.
Sure.
And this is why we need to ask questions, taking that understanding and share our side of the story. It must be an exchange of information.
There must be an exchange of information, but also there needs to be some sort of a proper guidance and schooling.
But that comes with discussion.
And parenting.
But this is it, because how could you guide me properly if you don't know where my mind is?
True.
That's where discussions come about.
And that is where the psychological component and the emotional component, of course, comes in, and the social component.
But this is it, you know.
And music affects all of those components. Samal, I would ask you to, anything that you would want to say in closing? I'm afraid we are out of time. And
well, all I would like to say is that I would like to say thank you for having me on working for you for the first time. I feel like a celebrity being here. Yes, it's a very interesting discussion we've had today. And, you know, this whole matter of national development means a lot to me. Youth empowerment means a lot to me. And I want to do as much as I can to help and empower the young persons. But it's also my duty in that regard to also allow the society to recognize that in empowering the youth is not mandating what they should or shouldn't do, but having that discussion with them and seeing where they are and how to facilitate them, their growth and development based on providing the necessary discussions and information to them as well. Because every generation should develop from the one prior. And life and our society changes over time. I mean, technology has changed the world drastically in the last even 5 years. So the way that our young people would think in the last 5 years would be very different to somebody in the 80s. And we need to acknowledge that and respect that and share the right information with them that helps to develop not only the young people, but the generation that is currently at the handle of power, so that they can provide a way for future. Because you can't provide with just your limited extent of knowledge for the future generation, because they will be well more advanced than you are currently. So you need to open your scope of thinking and embrace new changes and development, and help to empower them to lay a foundation for them in the long run.
Well, Samal, thank you so much for being on the program today. Of course, the Government of National Unity is very much concerned about our young people, in trying to help our young people to be positive and to be productive persons within our society, and to do whatever it can to cut down on the social ills that we have in the society. And one of the ways, of course, as you heard the Honorable Prime Minister speak about, is to have certain positive events to reach out to young people, such as which was held during the first year anniversary of the Government of National Unity, where there was a peace, a Sounds of Peace anti-crime concert, which was held on Friday, the 19th of February.
Very entertaining.
Anybody?
Very entertaining. I think this is a great effort
Astro, King Astro.
stop
What was
violence.
the second song this afternoon?
When you publicize things, you get better results. And I'm just glad to be here to be part of it.
That is a positive thing, you see me? Like stop the violence and the crime, we want to use them go up and so. You check?
I like how it's all about stopping the violence and being positive.
I thought it was really good, fantastic. Now, a lot of good songs, especially Stop the Violence. I'm enjoying it.
For now, it's very good music, and I think the purpose is very good, against violence.
I love everything about it, what it stands for, the music, everybody being in one place. It's wonderful. Fantastic.
You know, the good thing about this concert, it's talking about wipe out crime and violence, which is a problem to our generation. Our young generation to come, we want a bright future for them, that it will build on what we leave. Oh God, blessed love for our country, sink it needless. Love you.
I am your host, Lesroy Williams. You have been listening to Working for You. We will be back next week. We thank all the callers. We thank all of you for listening. This is the program where you can keep up to date with what the government is doing for you and how the government is working for you. I will see you next week.
Working for You. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Lesroy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.